I guess every child says that their dad is the best. He was just, to me, a normal father. I didn't know him as a politician, I just knew him as my dad. And he was so gentle with me in particular.
J.M was many things. He had different talents.
J.M alikuwa charming, mtu mzuri sana, anachekesha watu. Tulikuwa tukifanya kazi na wasichana wengine wawili na mimi watatu, na tulikuwa tukimngojea sana.
We know that your government is committed to bring the African into the field of commerce and business. We have accepted this challenge with your blessing.
Kenyatta was very fond of him in the beginning. And he spent time in the Prime Minister's office.
Mimi nafikiri badala ya kuzungumza na Kiingereza nitazungumza na Kiswahili ambacho ndicho lugha ya wananchi.
Well, I met J.M. in Nairobi, and I was introduced to him by some mutual friends of ours.
We looked upon him as a very, very knowledgeable person, and he had a lot of, admirers.
J.M Kariuki, or J.M, was an ambitious young man. His ambition earned him a place on the top of the most powerful clique around President Jomo Kenyatta. J.M will, however, go missing one morning. For 12 days, the state said nothing until his body surfaced up at the city mortuary. In 1975, the independent nation known as Kenya was only 12 years old. The middle class was slowly taking up its place in the urban areas. The white settlers had been reduced to foreigners, but still had clout. The Kenyatta government, on the other hand, was facing a reputation crisis. The regime that came to power on the back of national euphoria was now increasingly being viewed as a Kiambu affair. A powerful clique had now completely surrounded the grand old man, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and shielded him from the realities of the nation. Young James Mwangi Kariuki, or J.M. as he was popularly known, also found his place somewhere inside the Kenyatta circles.
At the time when we were growing up, we would hear him saying Mzee. So I didn't know who this Mzee was. I just knew Mzee has said, Mzee needs, or, And one time he came home and he quickly were put into a car and taken to this house which had very tall white walls. I didn't know that was State House. And it was a birthday party for one of Mzee's children. And because of hearing Mzee, 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 the presence of Kenyatta when he walked in was so overwhelming. I mean, as a child, I couldn't even look at him. I just felt, I can't look at this Mzee. He seems to be so powerful, He had this aura around him. And to me, to be honest, I didn't quite know that was the president of Kenya, because I just knew Mzee, Mzee, Mzee. It wasn't until much later on in life that I realized who that was. So I'm imagining the relationship they had was good. If we could go to State House for a birthday party and vice versa, if they could come to our house, I'm imagining that they had a good relationship.
He was always kept at an assistant minister level. But that was consistent with Kenyatta's approach to all the Mau Mau freedom fighters except Paul Nge and Achieng Oneko. And Paul Nge then he kept as a minister because there was a personal loyalty. And Achieng Oneko, he was, again, it was a personal decision, but soon after 63, by 66, Achieng had resigned and moved to KPU together with Jaramogi. So everybody else, Bildad Kagia, one of our most senior freedom fighters, but only at assistant minister level, Fred Kubai, assistant minister, and none of these people were picked up to assume any position where they could exercise real power. That was never done. So J.M. was kept at that, but he was regarded very much as part of the, not the Kenyatta circle, but the Kenyatta government. He was never an opponent, nothing like that.
12 years earlier, J.M. had been appointed as Kenyatta's private secretary, first when Jomo Kenyatta was Kenya's prime minister, and later as president, a position he held for straight 2 years between 1962 and 1964. But J.M. Kariuki was also a marked man.
He, as we moved into the late 60s, doubts began to arise in people as to whether the government had become a personal tool of one man, a few people, few families, and so on. By the early 70s, 71, 72, it was clear that Kenyatta has dropped all pretense that this was a national government. The break with KPU had come, the detentions had come, KPU had been declared deregistered. So we were a de facto one-party state. But more important, we had become a decision-making process vested in very few, about 6, 7, 8 people. And we had ceased to have a national government. They never made JM a part of that.
The ambitious young man from Nyandarua routinely uttered words that rattled the powerful clique around Muzee.
When we came up with the National Youth Service Act, it provided for the office of National Youth Leader, who would head the National Youth Service, plus with directors, of course, of various sections or departments. And Kenyatta appoints J.M. Kariuki, the first director, the first National Youth Leader.
As a national leader of the National Youth Service, J.M. appealed to the younger generation, a jobless majority in the country at the time.
They started a smear campaign, and it started from cabinet ministers. I'm a witness, because I was asked by a few of them, because they knew we were friends with J.M. They wouldn't approach him to ask him why he was appointed and given that kind of uniform. But they would rather talk to me. They told them, but J.M. did not appoint himself. One thing he didn't know, he was going to be appointed. And I think the uniform ranked that of a category of a brigadier in the normal services. So a lot of members of parliament started now murmuring, bickering here and there. How can an MP also wear this kind of uniform, be appointed to be head of a security system?
In 1968, J.M. Kariuki made what many said was a grave mistake. He entered parliament in full National Youth Service uniform.
Only one was brave enough to raise a question to the speaker. Why should a politician come to the house dressed in military uniform? They even didn't know it was going to be referred to as National Youth Service uniform. So to them, uniform of a disciplined force was a military uniform. And the speaker, Hapless Lady, ruled out that question quickly. I think he sensed what was being asked, because J.M. had come from some field.
As a national leader of the youth service and a member of parliament for Nyandarua North, that act was viewed by some as undermining the presidency.
J.M. would even attend special security meetings, and there are photographs to prove that. Right? There are photographs, very nice photographs, to prove that he was actually involved in some of those security meetings with the other seniors in the military, the police, everywhere. And I'm sure even then in those meetings, somebody somewhere must have been asking, why should an MP, a politician, be thrown into our system by Mzee? They may not have been comfortable. Either they thought he was Kenyatta's spy, right? Which can also happen. It could have happened. Or there was a mistake in appointing him to these committees.
Openly, senior politicians close to the president questioned J.M.'s motive. Some accused him of trying to rival the commander-in-chief, President Jomo Kenyatta. A few weeks later, J.M. was sacked as the national youth leader of the powerful National Youth Service.
From youth service to another office, and he appointed him Assistant Minister for Agriculture, special duties, in brackets, special duties. You know, special duties also made the same perpetrators of his life now see other things. Why move from youth service, where there was also kind of special duties, now bring him to agriculture, and special duties also? There must be something between J.M. and Mzee, which they're not telling us. And I've never seen a fellow enjoying his work like J.M., because we took up agriculture as if he had lost nothing in the youth service.
Those in the know say the clique around Kenyatta and perhaps the Mzee himself became increasingly uneasy with the attention J.M. was receiving. One time, J.M. was given a standing ovation to the amusement of Kenyatta, who had attended a parliamentary session.
Kenyatta was there when we were being sworn in. And he sees because when your name is called out and you're going to swear, members would bang the seats, and they appreciate you in the way they thought. So when James stood, nearly the whole house stood up in ovation. It was electric. Then he swore and he sat down.
For a long time he spoke, and the media gave him coverage. The following morning, the papers carried his story, page 1, big, bold, with beautiful pictures. And, because whatever he said, he always had prepared in advance what to say, because he just didn't speak for the sake of speaking. He spoke what he thought or what he knew people wanted to say. He was speaking on behalf of the people.
President Jomo Kenyatta was fond of J.M. Kariuki. Those close to the president, however, felt J.M. was trying to challenge the imperial presidency and also upstage a well-grounded state mafia. Case Files takes a short break.